Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri is a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He just was in the latest hearing with General Petraeus. You learned today.
Well, we were just in a hearing with General Petraeus, and we went through the points that he made on September the 13th when he met with the Senate committee, and then basically how long it took to figure out what points that they made that day were right and which ones were wrong. The one that was the most wrong was the idea that there was a spontaneous demonstration. Now, I'm most concerned, Jenna, by the thought that the CIA and the FBI and our entire intelligence gathering committee, community, if you believe them, can't figure out for 10 days whether there was a demonstration or not.
So, Senator,
I saw the video yesterday that made it clear that there wasn't a demonstration. There were people they could have interviewed, and I think that's an important question to ask. Why didn't you ask the people who were there, who were in Germany the next day? We got people out of there to Germany the next day, what they saw, and if they told you there was no demonstration, don't use that as the background for your story of what happened.
And just for clarity, the video that you're mentioning is a video of the attack in Benghazi?
It's the surveillance video that wasn't available to our government initially, but we shouldn't have had to have a surveillance video to finally show, hey, wait a minute, there's no demonstration going on. There were people there that could have been asked. It shouldn't have taken 10 days for the intelligence community to find out that something didn't happen.
Senator, let's talk about the impressions that you got from the hearing. Of course, it's being closed and classified. Congressman King is giving the impression that General Petraeus said today that among the talking points that he gave on the briefing that you mentioned in just a few days after the attack, that they did mention terrorism, but there was a decision to downplay that in that briefing that lawmakers were the only ones present for. But Petraeus made the argument today that he mentioned terrorism. Did you get the similar impression as well based on what you heard on September 13th and what you learned today?
I wasn't in the same hearing, the same meeting that Congressman King was in. He would have been in the House meeting. I was in the Senate meeting. I do recall the general making the points, the 4 points that he reminded us that he made, and one of them was that there was likely terrorist involvement here and some planning that went into the events that happened. But he also thought at that day there was a demonstration from some public reporting that turned out not to be right. But I do think he told the committee the things that he's suggesting today that he said he told the committee.
With respect to this briefing being closed and to being classified, what did you learn about the lack of security and what General Petraeus' impression were about the lack of security at the consulate and also the lack of military response once we began to learn just how serious this was on September 11th?
Well, the CIA did respond and responded quickly. They got to the mission in a very short period of time, but not enough. They didn't get there quickly enough to save the life of the 2 people that were killed at the mission itself, which is different than the second facility. The attack at the second facility doesn't come for several hours after the first facility. I think that's the harder thing to explain.
So
why 7 hours later we still weren't protecting the Americans that were in Benghazi.
So, Senator, who changed the talking points? Is there a change of talking points that actually happened? Do you believe that, or do you think there was a decision made by individuals to de-emphasize certain talking points over others?
Well, that's going to be something that we need to find out. What is the chain of information here? Who had it? At what point did these talking points change? But back to my original point, I'm even actually more concerned about why even 5 days later, when Ambassador Rice is on television with these talking points as her talking points, we're still talking about the key event is an event that didn't happen. Just how good is the intelligence community or the FBI that 5 days after an event we're still basing that event around something that we now know didn't happen at all? There was no demonstration. This wasn't the outcome of a spontaneous crowd that then got upset. And we're still saying that 5 days later. We're in fact not changing that story until September the 24th. I think we ought to be concerned about that.
And here, 2 months later, more than 2 months later, so many big questions yet to be answered. Senator, we look forward to having you back, find out what's next. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Jenna.